it's really about finding this elegant external essence, or that like true external essence, but it's that internal, like, where are you trying to go? Like, what's that vision you're living into? And not only what does that look like, but what does it feel like inside your body?
Hello, and welcome to the Connect podcast. This show is all about helping you connect to your soul's calling so you can take action on it. Because the sweetest success is a blend of discovering your purpose with the inner drive to bring it to life. I'm Sheila Botello, health coach, lifestyle entrepreneur, and mom of two, best known for my online wellness programs, mentoring, and self-love passion. Listen in for inspiring interviews, solo chats, and Q&A sessions that will move you past overwhelm towards what lights you up. Stop accepting good enough and go for your version of great in your health, business, and relationships. Let's get started. Hey there, welcome to this week's interview. I'm thrilled to introduce you to someone whose journey I've so enjoyed following. Carrie Montgomery is a transformational style coach, body image expert, and creator of the Somatic Dressing Method, which helps women step into true embodiment and empowered confidence. She teaches women to own their true beauty, build confidence, and create a dream image for their business and life. Having worked with New Line Cinema and stars such as Cate Blanchett and Eckhart, her expertise in film, design, marketing, and wellness, along with her love of fashion, allows her to create a holistic experience for personal style. She curates her clients' image, helping women look good and feel good from the inside out. This newfound confidence carries over to her clients' brands, elevating their visibility and taking many of them from 6 figures to 7 figures in as little as 1 year. Her work has been featured on OWN, the Oprah Winfrey Network, Super Soul Sunday with Christiane Northrup, Coastal Living, Old Port Magazine, and Hay House. Carrie joins us from her home in Ibiza, Spain, and shares parts of her body image and chronic health journey, how her life is transformed from her diverse experiences and travels, and what it feels like to come home to yourself. Enjoy the conversation. Carrie, thank you so much for being here with me. And this has been a long time coming. We've been talking about having a conversation like this for a while. I'm really glad we could make it happen.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years. I'm so excited.
And you're joining me today from Spain. And I've joked with you on another occasion that you're living my dream life. And we'll get into what took you there. But I would love to start with where your life actually began.
I was born in New York, so just outside New York City in Pelham, but I was born actually in Greenwich Hospital while the tall ships were coming in. So June 29th, 1976, so right before July 4th. So it was a very monumental kind of moment in history because the tall ships were coming in. My mom
wow.
Story.
Welcome, Carrie, to the world, everyone.
Exactly.
She has arrived.
It's very grand. Yeah.
I love that. And so now you have also lived many different places, and you've also had clients from all over the world, all different experiences. I would really love if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about where you've lived, the work that you've done, who you've worked for, because it really has informed on the work you currently do.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So I grew up fairly international. We moved to England when I was 4. So I always, from that experience, I always felt like I wasn't quite American. We came back to America when I was 10 and moved to Philadelphia. And I just felt like, whoa, I don't fit in at all. And I was like, when are we going back to London? Because this place is just not comfortable. And we spent every summer of my life in Maine. We had a house. We still do have a house there. And my parents are there now. So they've established a really successful interior design business. And I because I've moved so much, I feel like Maine is a home in the world for me. But I've lived in Santa Fe, New Mexico a couple of times. I ran the film union there, lived in Los Angeles, worked for New Line Cinema there, lived in New York City, lived in Hawaii. I've lived in Sydney, Australia. I've lived in Scotland, in a spiritual community. So where else? Boston. I went to college in Boston.
Oh, which college?
I went to Emerson for film and marketing and PR. Yeah. So my career started out in film. I wanted to be an actress. And then I was told I was an Amazon woman and I would never make it. And
tragic. That is
yeah.
so wrong.
Yeah, it was really interesting because my acting teacher was super supportive of me, and I decided to take a acting for film, like extracurricular outside of school class. And this guy just ripped me apart, and it tore me up, and I lost all my confidence. I was already dysmorphic in my body. I already felt too big to fit into the world from my personal stories and my traumas, everything. But then, like, I'm actually physically a big girl, like, or tall. And
how tall are you?
I'm just 5'10", right? But I'm big boned, and so I have now I understand this, but I have a really massive auric field. So my auric field enters the room before I do.
Wow.
And yeah, I'm a manifestor in my human design, and that's actually part of our auric field is that whatever's going on inside us, and I'm a Cancer. So then that's like the moody energy, right? So my auric field is like really big. And, growing up, I didn't understand the intensity and capacity and power of that and influence, really. And so people would see things in me that I couldn't really recognize and see in myself. And like, I remember I was working, it was while I was in health coaching school, I was working in a gym, like selling memberships, right? And I walk up the stairs after I'd given someone a tour. This is in New York City. And these, there's like, it was a really high-end gym, and there are like all these crazy executives there. And this guy was just like, who are you? Because you look like you need to be running this place. And I was like, I just didn't know how to take that in and receive it in a positive way. I just felt like I'm not good enough. But, I've learned over the years. So my career journey has been fairly unique. If you look at like the polar sides of like some very traditional people are like, well, there's no rhyme or reason to what you do. And like none of it makes sense. And then if you look in hindsight, 2020 hindsight is really amazing. You actually can see that everything I've done takes me to this moment. And I have such deep appreciation for that. So I went to film school. I ended up working in film. New Line Cinema was one of the companies. And then I moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico to run the film union there, basically oversee the health contracts, bring in runaway productions from Canada. Like we had a whole rebate system in New Mexico. So I was creating training programs for our laborers. And I was really supporting the people of New Mexico to get film work and be employed. And they treated me very well. I just had this vision of like being in New York City and owning a brownstone in Harlem. And I just felt like I needed to go back to my roots. And so I left. And, New Mexico was an incredible place. And I left kind of at the peak of what the industry was doing. But I was like following this inner thing that I didn't understand what it was. And I just was like, I need to go. I don't understand. I just need to go. And at the same time, while I was doing the film industry, I've always had this whole like healing background because I broke my back when I was 18. So,
ooh, what were you doing to break your back?
A horse fell on top of me, and I just like fractured a vertebrae. But then, or fractured, like they call it a dog ear on the side, and then over the year, it slid into my spinal cord, and then started putting pressure on the nerves and things like that. So I had a surgery my senior year of high school, which was, an interesting lesson in how to make decisions. I was like, what college do I go to? And do I really have this back surgery? A lot of pressure, like in one go. And I think I still like have these moments where I'm like, am I a good decision maker? Like it's just part of the journey. You learn and you empower yourself with, better and better decisions along the way that feel more aligned with who you are. Mm-hmm. But we don't come out of the gate with all these skills. So I was always doing healing work on the side because I was having so many challenges with my body. And when I moved to New York, I like worked 85 different jobs. I was like teaching Pilates private to like celebrities. I was working in a super high-end gym, teaching Pilates. I was working for a director as his assistant, which was really stressful for me. Did not like that at all. And then I was going to acting classes at night.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And then like doing events here and there. And I just like, it was nonstop. I'd start at 5 a.m. and I wouldn't get home till 9 o'clock at night. And I was like, this is New York. And within 6 months, my body just said, absolutely not. You can't do this. And I was basically in a wheelchair because my back flared up so bad I couldn't walk. And I had been eating gluten, which I'd been eating like chocolate muffins in the morning. So I had all of a sudden like gained all this weight and was like, it was really awkward. Like my body just sort of blew up. And that's when I started to really like look into my health experience a little bit more deeply. And I started doing marketing and PR for small businesses in Maine. I went and took a respite in Maine with my family. And I really decided that the film industry wasn't a good industry for me to be in with the physical challenges I had. So I was doing marketing and PR, and then I got into sales. And I was like, I just want to solidify this skill. And I was in sales for almost 10 years. I did an amazing project in Hawaii for the Ritz-Carlton and sold one wing of their hotel. And then I got into health coaching and sold for supplement companies and top doctors, nutrition and lifestyle therapies to reverse chronic illness. And that's how I kind of merged my skills and talents of like, okay, I can sell and I have this passion for health and I want to make impact on the medical industry. And I really had this mission, like I can change the medical industry. I got in there and I was like, oh my God, I'm so naive. I cannot change this. And my physical body is like not up for the task. And then I had a massive health crisis and I had to pull back. And that's when I actually moved to Maine and I left New York City. And I had to really just reevaluate life. And I started coaching online and 7 years later.
What a whirlwind story. You were living this big life. And what I've been seeing now since meeting you is you have been a lot more intentional with where you've been placing your energy and taking more space for yourself. Like you mentioned, you've been off of social media for 10 months.
Yeah.
And in this day and age of online marketing, some people would think that's the kiss of death. But I think for you, for all of us, it's an example what you're doing of what can really bring a lot of power is you taking that rest period to really take care of you and to make sure you're moving forward in the direction you want, which I'd love to talk more about. I do want to talk a little bit about where you're living right now. What caused you to say, well, I mean, I want to live somewhere along the Mediterranean. So that's maybe a silly question. Why would you want to move there? But what actually made you do it?
Yeah. So like I've said, and I kind of acknowledge, I've had this wild, crazy, super scary health journey. And 7 years ago, it got really, really scary. And I had to move in with my family. And like, I couldn't take care of myself. I was having full body paralysis and they'd find me on the side of the road, unable to move my body.
Oh my word.
And while I was driving my car, right? Like, it was super scary. And I'd have these moments and I'm like, how the F am I going to live? Like, how am I going to make this happen? And I just committed to coaching and committed to building the business. And then I was launching my first online program in 2014, right after I'd done B school with Marie Forleo. And I was so excited and I was like all passionate and like, woo, let's go.
Yeah.
And in the second week of my sales cycle, I almost died. I ended up in the hospital and I almost died and they had to remove my uterus because I was hemorrhaging out.
Oh,
And
wow.
It's been 6 years now. And that is what brought me to Spain. I had a complete identity crisis. I had a complete, like, I don't know why I'm living. Like, I don't know what's really the point. If I can't have a kid, like I really can't have a kid now. Like, what am I working towards? Like, what is it? What's the reason for me to be here? Like, and I just, I got really fortunate with having a great network and, working with Christiane Northrup and with Cate Northrup and Anthony Williams and Selena Sue. Like, these people were in my network and I just was really lucky that they said yes to me. And we got to work together and I built the styling business. And then I saw this whole like body image thing come out. So then I created, this soul styling program and that's been really fun to run. I just needed a break. I was going through a breakup and one of my exes called me and he said, Carrie, he's like, just come visit. Like, I haven't seen you in 4 years. Just come visit. And I was like, okay, fine. I'm going to get on a plane and go to Ibiza. It doesn't make any sense, like zero sense, but I did it. And within a week, I did a yoga retreat. I was there here for 2 weeks. And the first week I did a yoga retreat, and I was like, oh man, if this is like what I can like start to live into in my life, like, oh man, I'm so here. And on my birthday, I did a quantum healing, and I just got this message, like the next level of healing for you is here in Ibiza. Like you need to move. And I just listened for the first time in my life. Like I really listened to myself. I didn't question it. I just said, whoa, I got to do this. And I told my friend or my ex, and I just said, look, are you okay if I move here? Like, I'm just getting a really clear sign that I need to move. And I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm going to make it work. And I went home. I applied for a visa. I got my dog all set up to come with me. I bought the ticket. So I got home in July. I bought the ticket for October. It's supposed to take 3 months for the visa. Literally, like, I'm like, okay, I let go of my apartment. I did not know if I had gotten the visa. I was like, I don't have a home now. I have a month before my flight takes off. I'm just going to act as if. And I went through a slight like health issue as I was getting ready, and I was looking at upper limiting stuff and just going like, how am I playing this all out? And my visa came through a week before my flight.
Wow.
And I actually picked up my visa in Boston on my way to the airport to fly to Paris first to land there and just take a break for a minute. Yeah.
Amazing. Wow.
And that was 2 years ago. Yeah.
Man, that flew. So that was, you moved just, was it before or after? It must have been just after we met.
What a story. We had a combo when I first, somewhere like around when I first arrived here, we had a good chat.
We did. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow, Carrie, isn't that interesting? When you finally started to listen to what your body was telling you, you tapped into that part of yourself that gave you the messages you've been probably needing to hear your whole life. And now that is very much part of what you're helping other people do through your work. I really love that you share that the heart and soul of style comes from the inside out. And my wellness lifestyle self-care method is all called soul driven. And it's the underpinning of everything that I do. And it's so freeing because it looks different for everybody. And
there's no prescription.
Right. And it seems like the track that you are on and the track that many of us are on is just that, a track. Okay, you're following in the footsteps of all of these other people. Yeah. And instead, looking within yourself to your heart and soul and really connecting allows you to create your own track. And you are the epitome of this.
Oh, thank you.
Really lovely.
Yeah. You know, I have a very rebellious nature, like to almost a fault. But I have to say though, I still like berated myself for societal norms, right? Like, do you have the car? Do you have the house? Do you have the bank account? Do you have the kids? Do you have the white picket fence? Do you have the husband? Like, do you have it all? Right. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm still challenged with this health issue. I might not be a good person. Like I have done the original sin. Like all of these things would play out. And moving to Spain, I've just been like, I'm actually in the place of like where everyone is like, I'm doing my own thing. Like I am a misfit and like I'm off on my own path. And I'm now, just now, not caring what people think. And I used to really care what people think about me or what they thought about me. And it's really just like, it makes you feel anemic and just like cut off at the knees when you care what other people think. Like, I'm not a mean person, but I actually too invested in like how other people perceive me. And that's part of my upbringing. And that's something I had to heal and be like, whatever, you know, it's cool. And that's part of why I took 10 months off of social media. I'm super fortunate to have a great referral network. And obviously business did decline because I wasn't doing external marketing. I wasn't launching any programs. I wasn't doing anything for a year. I actually just started sending out emails again. So just exciting. But it's like, I just need to take a step back and really evaluate, like, why are we in this industry? Like, who am I really helping? Like, how can I really, really make impact? Like, I don't want to be a follower. Like, I actually want to help people transform their lives. And that is an internal process. Like the person is the center of it all. You are the center of it. And if it's your health, great. Like I'm going to say, you know what? In my process, I see that there's a health issue coming up that you need to deal with. I can see that. Like I hold that vision for that person. And that's really important so that they can get the appropriate guidance to overcome the obstacles that are stopping them from being visible. I mean, this is really about being able to be visible and not feel ashamed or uncomfortable or afraid of who you are or what your potential is.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you're here for a reason. Like you're still here, regardless of what is happening in the world. What is the unique gift that you can share with the world that you were meant to? And I am curious, what advice would you give to someone who's going through similar struggles of just that whole identity thing that you were just talking about, and who wants to reconnect with who they really are to live a life free and being more gracious on themselves in the process?
Yeah. Identity is like the core of my work. We can't actually move forward if we're attached to a false identity. And like I, with my health stuff, would be attached to the sick person identity a lot. And so I had to learn how to shift out of that. And I would go into like warrior mode, right? And I'd be like, I can do it, and that would be on an energetic level that actually would clash with my health. That would be too pushy and too fighty. Yeah. And so I use style archetypes to shift people's identities, but it's really about finding this elegant external essence, or that like true external essence, but it's that internal, like where are you trying to go? Like what's that vision you're living into? And not only what does that look like, but what does it feel like inside your body? Because you might need to take ownership that like you're an expert, but you're kind of like, I'm an expert. Yep, I'm pretty good at this. But you need to be like, yo, I'm an expert at this. And I know what I'm talking about. And you can win through XYZ. Mm-hmm. Or, you may be a goddess and like really warm and inviting and bringing experiences and people into your life in a very effortless, flowing way. It just depends on that ultimate vision you have. And then there's like this little part of you that's in dissonance, right? And we need to find that dissonance and then start to sort of open the tap on it and let it drain out. So it's becoming really conscious of moving into resonance. So I created a resonance mindset process, which is really so that we can step into resonance and not be like, I'm in dissonance. Oh my God, I'm feeling really awkward and uncomfortable. Shoot, I'm having an identity crisis. And then there's all those parts of ourselves that are like hitting our brain going, you can't. And that will stop you from any form of success, right? And so it's really, living into that next version of self, but not so far down the path that you're going to fall over and harm yourself along the way, right?
So like baby steps forward, attacking the little voices in the head. Is there a way that you talk to those little popcorn voices in your head that are popping, telling you those things?
It depends, right? It depends on the time and the space. So the process that I use, this resonance mindset map is really going into curiosity when I start to see like, oh, what is actually happening here? Like, I want to give you an example, but I'm actually really not ready to like talk about it.
That's okay.
So it's not, I can't give you that example, but it's so fresh and juicy. But it's like, I'm going to give you sort of the theory, like all of a sudden something came up and I was like, oh, so that action that person is doing towards me or not doing towards me is making me feel like rejected. Right. And I'm like, oh, that's so weird. And then I'm like, wait, that's actually like evidence that like what I thought in the past of feeling rejected from this person is actually real because that exchange is not happening. And so then I can go like, okay, what's happening in my cellular structure, my physical being, right? So now I'm becoming aware. Like I got curious and I was like, whoa, this is here. And then I became aware. I'm like, this is just present in my body. And I'm like, oh my God, this is actually like present. And this is real. Like, I'm not making this up. So I'm kind of confirming the facts. And sometimes I'll do that writing in a journal, or I'll do it in conversation with people, and then accepting that it's actually there and like giving it space to be. Like, in our world of positivity, there isn't too much room to just be with the murky. And I'm not saying like sit in the murk, but you kind of just got to know that it's there and that it's been there a really long time, but you're just becoming conscious of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there needs to be you're now accepted its presence, and you're like, okay, I need to shift this. Like, I don't want this to be here. So you actually need to release it out of your body through a pattern interrupt. So however that is for you, for me, it's usually somatic, right? Moving my body, breath work, going to a healing session with my healer. Tears are a really incredible somatic detoxifying experience that women are shamed for having. And it's like, you know what? It's just really great to have a really great cry, and then it's done. And then you move on.
Oh, my mom used to tell me, like, Sheila, just have a good cry. Let it all out. Tomorrow's a new day. And I'm telling you, even through some really, really tough stuff, yes, she was right. And I'm so grateful for that. It's like we were created with that as part of our being, and it's just our response. And to shove it away or to feel shamed for it is utterly ridiculous. And I think people are starting to understand that now. But I love that you talked about that. Yeah.
The anger in the world right now is like, it is so palpable, and it is really chaotic and really confusing. And I am so grateful that I live on this quiet little island, because my empathic little self would be a bit shaky on the American soil right now. I'm going to be honest. I speak to friends over there about it. So anyway, moving right along. So once you do that, like, release, and you actually let the emotion be there and then move through you, that's where you get to then say, okay, I can realign myself. I can just say, okay, like, I'm here, I'm present. What is it that I need to do? What is the next right thing? Instead of like, okay, I cried, brush off. But like, I cried. Okay. Like, what is it that do I need to go take a nap? Do I need to meditate? I do hypnotherapy. I have a hypnotherapist, and she's like, boom, amazing.
Awesome.
Like, it's just like changing the radio signal in my brain at times. So sometimes I need to do that to realign, or it depends on the moment. We have all these tools, and there is no hard, fast, steady rule. So once I really acknowledge that I've received what that next step is, I go into action, right? I either make a phone, like whatever the aligned action is, I step into that and take action, because we do need to take action from those lessons and those learnings. So that's how we like actually move into resonance. And that's part of the work that I do. Right? It's just like bringing people into peace and harmony with themselves.
So good. Oh, I could talk to you for so much longer, because we always just kind of are getting warmed up often when we're nearing the end of a conversation.
I know.
But I love what you shared. And I love about like giving ourselves permission to feel how we need to feel, and to actually move through it, and to give ourselves the space and time to do it. Because I agree with you. That's where the power lies. That's where transformation lies. Otherwise, we're just carrying that bag of garbage on our backs through our lives. So, this is so good. So I'm so curious, what are you currently working on, and what are you most excited about right now in your business?
Okay. So, currently working on my quantum styling program, which is going to be really fun. It's really about healing the body and moving into balance and harmony within our own being, so that we can create a magnetic presence, and stepping in and honoring that. And, style is way more than just how you look. It is actually a vibe and energy that you put out. And I'm so aesthetically driven. I was trained that way from 4 years old, because my mom's an interior designer. So my whole world has an aesthetic feeling. But I am deeply embedded in this energetic sense of being because of my own sensibility. So that, and then I'm creating a new program called Restyled Life. And that's really about taking risk and going out there, doing courageous action, really looking at the big vision, how you need to make change, how that looks and feels. Yeah, it's going to be a really, really beautiful journey.
I am so excited to see about that program. That is going to be amazing. Oh my goodness. You're the perfect person to be doing it.
Thank you. And I actually got this massive hit last night, and I think I want to do a retreat here in Spain next year. Express You. It's all about expression. I've just been doing so much expressive somatic work here on a next level. It's just such a great island for that. So I'm sure people are going to have a lot that they need to process over the next year or two. There's a lot of trauma going on in the world right now, and I want to be a part of that solution so that people can live into a brighter future and not be stuck up by this experience, because there's a lot of devastation happening.
There is. And it seems to me, with all of these exciting things that you have on the horizon, the last 10 months has been incredibly fruitful for you and will be for all of us. So I look forward to looking at all of that. And please tell me where people can find and follow you to make sure they're in tune with what's happening.
Absolutely. So my website's carriemontgomery.com, and you can kind of see all my different, coaching offers, my styling offers, and my branding offers there. I really believe in personal branding as a great tool to get your mission out into the world. And so I always look at the different avenues that we can support you to get out there.
Thank you so much for being here. I am so grateful that we can have these conversations and that I get to follow the work that you're doing in this world.
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you so much for having me on here. And thank you everyone for listening. It's such an honor and such a pleasure. And I can't wait to meet you all at one point.
Thank you. So friends, thank you for listening. Carrie and I would love to know, what was your biggest takeaway from our conversation? And do you feel that you could up-level your self-love and look at ways that you could transform where you're currently at? I hope that you will follow along at carriemontgomery.com. And please tag us on Instagram and let us know all of these things. We look forward to seeing what your feedback is. See you next time.
Thank you so much for being here with me on the Connect podcast. If you like this episode, please share it with someone you think would enjoy it. Also, if you head over to iTunes to leave a review, I'd be so grateful. Let us know what your favorite parts were and what you'd like to hear more of. It will help us have a greater impact, elevating many more people to grow and succeed together. See you next time.